Okay. We spoke a lot of introduction on Perek Tezvav and Atzmius HaNeshama. I want to get to the end of try to get to the end of Perek Tezvav today and learn with you the opposing view. This is a clear machlokus, which is interesting. But let's do it inside. If you have it inside, that would be the best thing. The middle of Perek Tezvav. Part of this we did already, part of it we didn't. Amnam Bechinas HaNeshama. It's the middle of Tesvav, Bechinas HaNeshama. When we talk about the Neshama, Hi Aneshima Atzma, Shepnimius Atzmutza Mistateres Behelam, Omakira Baruch, or you have Karuch, Kiviyachal B'chol, B'teich Neshimas Pivis Baruch Shmai. We're talking about the Neshama is the Neshima, and the Neshima is the actual breath of Hashem. So the Neshama is called after the Neshima, and the Neshima is the actual breath of Hashem. She'ein Atzmus Mahusa. This was the key, what I think is the key sentence in all of this. She'ein atzmus mahusa nichneses klal b'toich gufa adam. Don't make a mistake. The atzmus mahusa nichneses klal b'toich gufa adam. You know, when you take this in context, there's no context. Meaning, there's no reason why he should say this now. Who said yes? Who said who said something differently? But he's right away telling us that don't think that the neshama goes that the neshama means true. We have a neshama, but don't think that the neshama is the atzmus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu going into us. We don't have God inside of us. That's what he's saying. There's no two ways to translate this. She'ed atzmus mahusa nichleses klal b'toich gufa adam. You have no God in your body. Va'adam harishayin kaida b'chetzach al atzmusa. The exception to the rule is Adam harishon. Adam harishon was zochet to atzmusa yisbarach, but b'sibas hachet. So there is such a, as somebody pointed out and said, well, it means that there is such a possibility. Or I would say even more than that. The original plan A, for the Bria was that Adam harishon, before he did a chet, had atzmusa yisbarach b'toichai.
Does he hold that there is still atzmusa in everything else but men?
No, for sure not on anything else. But even in man, the only possibility would be, the only havamina, is if he blew into his nostrils. But in rabbits and squirrels and trees, he didn't blow anything. Vayidaber Hashem, vayomer Hashem, asar babaris nivra olam. So it was an amira.
We said there's Hashem everywhere.
Okay, shchina. Well, that's what we're going to learn. But the more important distinction is between, there's something, when Hashem created the world, Ba'asar Ba'baris Nivra Olam. He created it by talking. When he created man, also created by talking, but when he enlivened him, when he animated him, let's put it that way, he blew into him. So you have an important shinui in the text itself about the difference between man and cows, because only by man it says vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, that he blew. So the sugya here, to take a step back, is to understand the ramification of blowing into our nostrils instead of just speaking. The Nefesh Hachaim says later, I think in Perek Gimel, the Prakim, he says that when you speak, you're also letting air out of your lungs, but just enough to get the words out. But when you blow, in the metaphor, when you're blowing into something, like you're blowing a balloon or something like that, so you're actually taking from yourself and putting it into it. So there's a big difference between Vayipach Ba'apav Nishos Chayim and Vayomer Hashem, right? They're both exhaling, but one is blowing and one is exhaling. So obviously there's a difference between Adam and the rest of the Bria, which was Vayomer, 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 Vayomer. But so what is the nature of the difference? So Hava, he's telling us that the difference is that Mad Nafach, as the Zohar says, B'dilei Kanafach, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is blowing up himself, so therefore we have him in us. So says Nefesh Hachaim that don't think that way. That's not the way it goes. Just because Mad Nafach B'dilei Kanafach, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have, it's true, Hashem blows of himself, but that doesn't mean that we have him inside of us. So he gave us the mashal of the glass blower. The glass blower is blowing of himself into the pipe and creating this glass, but that doesn't mean that you'll see the image of the person in that piece of glass. True, it came from the toiche of the blower, but it's not the blower. You can't say that it has HaKadosh Baruch Hu in it. So he's, as I say, like it's out of context in a sense. I mean, unless that's his point, to point out to us that don't think that you have God inside of you, which tells me that, like other people think, that you have God inside of you, which we're going to learn. In my opinion, which I have not entitled to one altogether, but in my opinion, the Nefesh Hachaim is not the Pashut Pshat. The Pashut Pshat in Vayipach Ba'apam Nishmas Chaim and the Targum and everything that we know that a person is B'Tselem Elokim is the Pashut Pshat. If you just open the Chumash, I think, like you read your Bible, I think it means that we do have God inside of us. So, but the Pashut Pshat is not necessarily right Pshat, right? So what he's telling us is that might be Pashut Pshat, but don't go there because that's not the case. Now, I think that the reason why he's emphasizing this is because he feels it's a very dangerous type of a thought to think that we have God inside of us. But he does say that the exception to the rules, Adam Arishan Koyda Bachet, Levad, second exception, Moshe Rabbeinu Lo B'Shem Shezachal Atzmusa Toichufa. Also Moshe Rabbeinu, and I spoke about that on Shabbos a little bit, was Zocha Tatzmuso Toichufa. Doesn't mean you have all of Hashem, but he had something there. And then there's the third exception, which he doesn't bring here, which is Mashiach. He doesn't bring it. And Mashiach, it's very clear, has Atzmusa Yisparach, which we'll talk about. But Mashiach is a higher Madrega than Moshe Rabbeinu. As I said yesterday, in certain areas, Mashiach is not in Torah, not in Nevuah, but in terms of Atzmusa Yisparach, it has to be a higher Madrega because the whole idea of Mashiach, as I explained yesterday, is Malchus. The whole idea of Mashiach is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's putting himself into this world, right? A dira b'tachtainim. You don't make a dira and then not go into it. What's the point, right? Making a dira b'tachtainim, you go into the dira. So Mashiach represents the door of the Geula, the door of Gan Eden. So Mashiach is going to be the same as Adam Arishan Koyda Bachet, and even better than that. Even higher than that, because Adam Arishan Koyda Bachet had the ability to choose to eat from the Eitz Hadas, whereas in the Zman Mashiach, the Sfarim tell us that even that choice won't be there. There's no chance of, there's no going back. So Mashiach, in a sense, is on a higher Madrega than Adam Arishan Koyda Bachet, and certainly on a higher Madrega than Moshe Rabbeinu when it comes to Atzmusa Yisbarach. But outside of those, the Mashiach mashal he doesn't give, outside of those three great exceptions in history and in the future, there is no Atzmusa Shel Yisbarach in this world.
Does anybody, any of them Mepharshim articulate what we're saying is the Pashut Pshat?
Tanya, which we're going to learn in a minute.
Right. So if Adam hadn't sinned, would he be? What would he in theory been like, other than what Moshe or Mashiach is like?
He would have been holy, and everything in the world would have been holy. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. How do I know? I mean, how can anybody know? Because we don't have that experience. But like the whole world would have been an Aron Kodesh. And that would have been a place of peace. I mean, I think the major symptom of it all is peace. When I say peace, I don't mean just Syria and Turkey or whatever. But I'm talking about peace. Inside peace in the world. Like the world is what I understand. The world is broken. Like we're living in a broken world, and we're compensating for it in many, many ways. Some ways are war, some ways are diplomacy, some ways are we hide in safe places. But basically, like the world is broken. You got to really think before you travel anywhere. The world. But it's not just that you're going to get killed or blown up, or it's broken in the way people think. It's broken in terms of taivas. It's broken in terms of everything. Everything is just relationships. Everything is completely broken. Health, nutrition. Everything is kind of like wrong. Right? Why does everyone look so depressed? This is getting me happy. It's so interesting because, like, before, as time goes on and things get more and more fixed, like more and more things are broken. I was just thinking, just emotional. I was just thinking about, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor of any sort, but was just thinking about the fact that Adam is nifla in the sense that you need almost everything under you to exist. So you need vitamins, which was going to come from things that grow in and probably good for a person to have the proteins or some sort of proteins, which a good source of that is animals. And you need water. Water is minerals, right? Water brings you the minerals besides the liquid. So you drink a glass of water theoretically, so you're getting potassium and magnesium and all kinds of phthalates that come from the water. So you need water. So, but who drinks water? Now, if you don't have minerals, your body doesn't work. But who drinks water? I'm not just trying to push here water. I'm not a good water drinker either. But who drinks water? Even if you drink water, so you drink Neviot or this or that, where all the minerals are removed. So you can get your water in vegetables, right? So that's full of minerals. But what pesticides? If you eat gush katif vegetables, which I do, so doesn't come from the earth. It doesn't come from the earth. There's no minerals in it. There's no minerals. So you're eating cucumbers that have no minerals in it. So without minerals, look at what the biologists say. Your hair falls out. Your skin gets all messed up. You need minerals as part of what a human being needs. All of the things under him in order to live. So it's an interesting thing, I believe, with the ikvus of the Mashiach, that the world is broken. All of this needs a tikkun. But everything needs a tikkun. Everything is wrong, and everything's compensation. The water doesn't taste good, so we get machines. Everything is like the bugs have vegetables in it and pesticides, so you grow it on hydroponically, and then you lose this, you lose that. Like, you're messing with the bria. That's what I'm trying to say. The bria is broken.
When we said on Shabbos that other Rishon's neshama is broken into two, is that a fundamental brokenness in the world?
I think so. The whole world, hitpatzlut, Rav Kook calls it. It was broken into two. Yeah. So that's what we need to see. That's the tikkun. The tikkun is to sort of get it all back together again.
Just to clarify also, what Reb Chaim was saying, if there was no Adam never sinned, there never would have been a Jewish people. Is that correct? Like the world would have been
no need.
But there never would have been a Jewish people to make the tikkun. So our purpose is to, as the Rav said, to go back and fix what Adam Rishon did. So there would have been no need for us. Everybody would have been just holy, basically.
Yeah.
Torah for that matter.
You wouldn't have needed a Torah. As Torah as we know it.
But we had Torah, that was Torah before there was the world.
Not the Torah as we know it. Into Kriyas HaTorah. There is implicit dinim and laws of the world, but the Torah that we know was something that we had to get. I'm not against any of these things. I'm just saying that, yeah, you're right. I don't know if we would have liked the world if Adam Rishon would not have been choteh, but then again, we don't know that. It would have been a whole different world. But the world, we're living in a broken world. Let me just say this: that we're all davening and hoping for Mashiach. So just let's think about what we're hoping for. Are we really there hoping for it? But we're talking about fixing the world, that it should be a dira b'tachtonim.
And there's also this concept of Mashiach and Atzmusa is a difference to Moshe Rabbeinu. How do we know he's got a difference, and where is that difference?
Because Mashiach is being misaked, the Reb Chal says, but the Mashiach is being misaked the chet of Adam Rishon to put us all like Adam Rishon koydem hachet. And the neshama, the Arizal says, of the Mashiach is the neshama of Adam Rishon. And Moshe Rabbeinu wanted that, but it didn't work out. That was it didn't work out for him, which is what I was talking about yesterday. He got one half of it, but he didn't get the lower half. It's big chidushim. It's big chidushim.
What was Hashem asking then Moshe?
To the first part, Isarusa Delayla.
And Ben Yosef and Ben David, the Mashiach, was that a reflection of the...
Two parts of the bottom. Mashiach is a different, yeah. So let's go further a little bit.
Yesterday that Moshe was arguing with Kishbochu, saying I don't want Mashiach because I know I'm going to get to Israel. I can't do the full parts.
Right, so what about, so send somebody, no, he was arguing, send somebody already, that can be the whole thing. Yeah, to send Elio, send Pinchas, and we weren't the door that was ready for it. We weren't a generation that was ready for Geula.
Why was the Cheshbon Baruch to send Moshe? Moshe saying, I can't be it. Cannot be the full picture.
No, the cheshbon of why Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't be the full thing is because of the generation wasn't ready for it. And that's why Miriam didn't have Eir and everybody didn't have Eir.
So what's the Cheshbon that summer?
Get to the next Madrega.
What was the mile of Pinchas over Moshe?
Earthy, right? He was being Misak in the world, on earth. He was able to do that. Also Miriam, also Aaron. All the choices for Mashiach were all practical, earthy type of people. And Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't that. So Moshe Rabbeinu was a stopgap or a Nefesh Hachaim and a Navi that, like Kabbi Yisrael, Kabosha Oid, in terms of bringing Ruchnius to Gashus, but not in terms of the Kiddush Olam. That was, to reiterate my point from yesterday. Pirish B'nayisha, Lechem lo yachalti, Mayim lo yashasisi. Otherworldly. Otherworldly is the opposite of Geula.
Can you be on a Chaim, can you medayik on every word? Like up on the top he says, She'en atzmut ma'uta, mu'uta yitnesek klal. Then after that he says, Kol ma'et zachal atzmus. And then it says, Moshe Rabbeinu zachal atzmus. He doesn't say the word ma'ut. I mean, is there any difference there?
I don't know, but I think the way to learn it is when he talks about Atzmus, he first defines it, Shein Atzmus Mahusa Nichnesas Klal B'Tzoichuf Adam. Atzmus means Atzmus Mahusa, I think. And now he's saying, in that same Atzmus, which you can't get, Adam Arisha didn't get. And as you said, I'm repeating again, it means that there is a possibility. Just interesting that it doesn't bring Mashiach. V'zulasei leizacha eleo shub Adam. What then? And this is what we didn't see yet. Rak, what then? What then do we have with this neshama? Rak, behiros nitzaitze or misnoitzitze bimela al roish ha'adam hazoicha elah. Next thing to underline. What do we have? Behiros nitzaitze or misnoitzitze bimela. Sparks. Nitzaitze are sparks. Sparks that fly from Atzmusa Yisbarach into our lives. We get sparks, nitzoitzos. Not every person, but it's possible by becoming a tzaddik. It's possible to be zoche to these sparks of atzmusa yisparach. Sparks. So here's the fire, out flies the sparks, and the sparks are something that we can grab. Kol echad lefi madregasa. Delay. Everyone will grab whatever sparks they could get. It's al derech. The Meiri says at the beginning of Avos that Moshe kibel Torah b'Sinai u'Masr Yeshua is a kind of l'navim. That the kibel, says the Meiri, these words that always stick in my mind. Kibel Moshe kibel Masha kibel. Kibel Masha kibel. Moshe Rabbeinu. Kibel Torah b'Sinai, he was able to be makabel when he was able to be makabel. Different nitzoitzos. It's not that he got the whole thing lock, stock, and barrel, right? He didn't swallow the whole fish. Kibel Masha kibel. He was able to receive certain things, which was a lot. There was never anybody who received more, so that's a lot. And that's what he gave over to Yeshua. Yeshua l'skedim skedim. That's our Torah. But we're not talking about at that point. Even that point, Kibel Masha kibel was Atzmusa Yisbarach, but not the whole thing. Mashiach is the whole thing. Zulasai, besides for Moshe Rabbeinu, Leizach Elel Shum Adam. I believe that the Chazal say the Chaloich also was Makabel Atzmusa Yisbarach, but his Halach Evil but he lost it. So what we have is Rak Behirus Nitzoitze Arbis Noitze Mimeno Arosh Adam Azoichela Kol Echel Lefi Madregasa Lefum Shiur Delay. If you okay, V'ayin Raya Behemna Nosai. Take a look at the Zayar Nosai. V'yipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chaim, and here's where he starts to prove his point. Da Ihi Diyukna Da Albar Nash Ubazar Chadash. So I'm just going to skip to the translation that I have to make it easier for us. If you are Zocha, as Yoredas Allah, the Lashon of the Zohar. Yoredas, this is what a person can achieve. Yoredas Allah, Gadlus Yisera Bilbala. Bisayreres Allah Bilbala. Yisairis Kedusha V'Shaira Al Adam B'Sabavasai B'Kolat Stadim. You can surround yourself with this kind of Kedusha. V'Oisa Yisairis Hasher Allah B'Mokam El Yadhi. Ubashma Neshama Shma. So what he's bringing from this is that the taich of neshama is sparks that we get from Atzmusei Shel Yisparach, and not to deceive ourselves in thinking that we have God inside of us. All right, this is pretty clear. He's pretty clear about this. V'hi ha'lo said us go a little bit further.
Sorry, Rabbi, the sparks, when he says it, and Shamahi, when the Shama Shema, what's he referring to? The sparks?
This ability that we have to integrate within us, the sparks of Atzmusei Yisparach, probably what he means mostly by learning Torah, or other ways of achieving Kedusha, those sparks are called our neshama. So when we speak about our neshama, we're not speaking about God, we're talking about sparks.
The integration ability.
Kli. What do they do? What's the practical point? So he says, "He hanoisedes laha'adam bila yisera." Don't belittle the sparks. The sparks are what give us a bila yisera lahaskil hasichlios hapnimiyim hagnuzim b'taraseinu hakedosha. It's only through these sparks that we can understand the subtle points and the deep points and the inner points which are hidden in our Torah. If you don't have the sparks, you don't get it. You don't understand the Torah in a deep way. For that, you need a neshama. Vashikasav, neshama isaris la'elesh bina. That the neshama is that which gives us bina. Ubazar chadash rus v'tarbe b'chachma ilah. It gives us chachma, bina. It's all stuff we get because we have a neshama. But again, the neshama is not God. That's
Can I interrupt? Maybe just, what's Zohar Chadash? What's the difference between?
nothing. One is the Zohar, and then they found more Ksavim, and it became the Zohar Chadash. Whatever. Different book. Huh? Yeah. Look, Zohar is not a book. I mean, Zohar is a collection of sayings of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai that we have in Messiah, and conversations that he had, and the tkufa that he had. So there was always a Zohar before the Zohar was just discovered recently, a few hundred years ago. But there was always Yediyah of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, even before there was a Zohar, a book called Zohar. But then they put together the Zohar, Moshe de Leon, I think, and then afterwards somebody else came in, a Zohar Chadash, found more Dvarim Genuzim. So it's musmach in the sense that it's all Chazal. It's Midrashim of Chazal, which are all Derech HaKabbalah. These were the Soidas that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai were Megala. There could still be another Zohar Chadash, Zohar Chadash Mamash. I want to actually, let's just go, I'm skipping this, the Ayin Beitz Chaim, let's not skip. Ayin Beitz Chaim, Ablam, like Haladam Zoichel Lazeh. So Beitz Chaim, not everybody can get these sparks. This is amazing. That one of the benefits of grabbing the sparks of the Atzmusei Yisparach is that you'll have an unusual memory for Torah. Dafka. Like not just an understanding, but an unusual memory. This breaks me up a little bit because I don't. B'yavin kol razei Torah. Besides an unusual memory, you'll understand in a different way all the razei haTorah. V'yisgalu loy razei haTorah kitikulam. So it's big to have these sparks, but it's not God. Ad kan. By lahalal ha'idyin b'sharsha ha'elyon. You know, the Havdalah of Havdalahs. You look at a lot of the other, like the religions, the Avodah Zarah of the world. So they're able to tap into, they say they're able to tap into certain sources of energy and things like that. Even laniach that it's true, even if they can do it. So there's like they can make a whole religion out of that. But the truth is that that's just like one small little piece of the whole picture. Like when you're talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're talking about the whole koyach of Bria. So the fact that they could, if they can, I don't know if they can, but if they could do even one drop of some kind of a supernatural thing, I haven't yet heard that anybody's actually been able to levitate or anything. Is there any science on that? I don't think so. But even if they claim to be able to heal or to be able to tap, so they're hopping into one energy. There's millions of such energies, and when we have Mitzoitze Halashaba, we could tap into thousands of those energies, millions of those energies, but it's still not God. That's what I'm saying. When we're worshiping Hashem, when we're saying Baruch Atah Hashem or Modim Anachnu Lach, we're in a whole different place than all of those, manipulating the Bria and trying to find the secrets of the energy in the Bria. That's all fine, but that's enough to make a religion for many people.
Is there or Kochas Hatum different sort of energies, or just in one aspect of the
Sitracha, right? So, we talked about Tuba a lot here. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu put all kinds of koichas in the Bria, and some of them are negative sources and positive forces, like electricity is positive and negative. There's a lot of different forces in the Bria, and we can tap into them. That's all fine. You can be a big makubal, tap into things, but it's still not. It could be Tuba, it could be not Tuba, but it's still not God. Whatever it is not God. It's not Roy. It's not Roy La'avdai. Yeah, or Frisch. Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, you find in the Gemara that, you find in the Chumash, Kisha, Machshefa, there's a lot of things that, but it does not a religion make. Meaning all of those things, they're pretty, even if they're pretty impressive, let's say you'll go to India and you'll see all kinds of cool things, but it still doesn't make a religion. Either it's Tuba or it's Tara or it's Avodah Zarah, but it's not God. Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's one. They tapped into one thing. I get my phone to work. And if I would have done this 50 years ago, I'd be God too. It's much more chashuv than walking on water. I mean, is it amazing? It's just an amazing thing. How can it be? It must be God. So it's just kochos that are in the Bria. So somebody, some genius or whatever, tapped into to being able to get waves in the air and tap into waves. Whoever invented electricity, it's amazing, but it's not God. That's all I'm saying. It is amazing because the world is amazing. And the world has all these different kochos, physical and metaphysical kochos, but it's all not God. You understand my point? I think I said it about 12 times. It's just because somebody can do something amazing, it doesn't mean that you're God. If they could do these amazing things all together, but it still doesn't mean that it's God. It doesn't even mean that it's kadosh. Yeah.
Perhaps we could even see it in the language that we use in this post-Adam Rishon, or perhaps call it Mosaic experience, which is what's the most that Moshe Rabbeinu was asking for was to see the Kollel Hashem, and he was able to achieve Asper Claria, but that language already suggests
A distance.
a separateness to be able to discern.
Right, that's very, very important. Right, very important. And I want to see you. I'm not you. Aspaklaria Me'ira is what we're talking about here. The clarity of Moshe Rabbeinu is what we're talking about. Lo kol adam zocha lezeh. Not everybody can be zocha to this, even this. Da ki mishi yesh v'yada koach v'asav az yeh lo zechira niflo b'Torah. V'yavin kol rozeh haTorah v'yiskalu rozeh haTorah k'tikula. Ad kan. That's all from the Arizal. Ayin lahalal la'inyin b'shar sha'al yev'tavin. V'zeu shabar ha'kasav, and this is what Eov said. By the way, if you'll notice, most of the psukim that we know anything about the neshama all come from Eov. Just want to make that ha'ara. And Eov said, Achein ruach hi be'enosh v'nishmas shakai tevinem. We have a ruach in humanity, v'nishmas shakai tevinem. Ratzaloibar. Shebechilas haruach hu b'shtel shel ruach. Ruach, remember, that's the second. You have the nefesh, ruach, neshama. So bechilas haruach hi b'shtel shel mushmo v'nichnas v'teichanim. What goes into the person? The ruach. Aval neshama, she nishma shakai, the actual neshama part of the neshama. Neshama, the catch-all word is neshama, ruach, nefesh, naran. But what goes into the person is not the neshama. Neshima spiv yisparach einas musa mushbal biskala b'toicha adam. It stays in the heavens. The breath stays with the blower. We do get some bina b'nitzaitze oira alav laskilai beimke baspudei atayra kedosha, but what we have is the tzaitzes. So we have the shita of the Reb Chaim Volozhin very, very clear, and until we learn something different, we don't know that anybody articulates a different shita, and that is that what we have is the tzaitzes, and nothing more. Ay, bashikosim b'zayar v'amukubalim shebechinas hanashama bishkala b'moyach ha'adam, that there's a neshama in the moach ha'adam, like you keep saying. Kavanasam zal, the kavana of the Mekubalim is nitzaitze ziv oira maskeles moicha v'sichlai. It's just the energizer, like maybe our brain is plugged in to the kedusha if we want it to be, but it's not there. That's not the generator. It's just plugged in. It's a satellite. It's a good word, actually. like a satellite of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not that I know anything about satellites, but I think that's what it means. In other words, there's no koach in it. It's like a repeater, just getting that koach and taking it further if you're zocha to it. Lo atzmusa babish. Again, v'ikar kavanasam zad. Let's leave it there. Let's just for a minute, just to introduce you. You have in your WhatsApp the Tanya. I just want to show you the other side of this. Tanya, right at the beginning in Pardes Project. I think Dara just said that out. You said that out? But Nefesh Hachaim Yisrael. He's talking about at the beginning of Tanya, Nefesh Habahabis, Nefesh Elikis. For our purposes, Nefesh Habahabis is the body, the actual goof, the biological body. Then on top of that, there's an overlay on the body. That's the Nefesh Hachaim Yisrael for Jews, who, and this is the key, Chelek Elikai Bibal Babish. Now, Chelek Elikai Bibal, that's a pretty strong language. Yes. It's a pasuk in Iyuv. Chelek Elikai Bibal. Tanya's major contribution to the sentence is babish. Like, it's like he's talking to Nefesh Hachaim. Don't make pilpulim here. Like a person. He says later that this happens. Why is it called Nefesh Hachaim? Because you don't get this when you're born. You get this neshama only at your bar mitzvah. I think he says that. This is something that you get, and it's a chelek elikai b'mal babish. K'moishe kasav. It's clear in the pasuk. Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. Takes the very pasuk that the Nefesh Hachaim teaches differently. Well, you're blowing, but you're blowing, and the blower is not the blowing, and what you blow, the glass doesn't have the person. Beseder. Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. Va'ato nefachta bi. We say it every morning. Bi. Ato nefachta bi. K'moishe kasav b'zayar ba'd nefach b'toichei nefach. Pirush. That what he who blows of himself. Pirush pshat is b'toichei yusai. It's coming babish from the toichias of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is actually putting himself into that breath. Now, again, it's not so clear because just because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is blowing himself into that breath, it doesn't mean we become God yet, or even a chelek of God. But this is what he's saying. Kadosh Baruch Hu had this idea of b'li b'chayri Yisrael, b'nei b'atem l'Hashem l'keichem. So he gives a mashal. What is a ben? What is a child? What is our son? Right? It's a chelek of me. It's an interesting chelek of me because I could die and he's still there. But there is a piece of me in that child of mine. Is there not? It's a cell. It's biological, and you can see it. It's a gene. It's genetic. It's this. You can see it. You can see it. Kids come to me Shabbos morning for lollipops. I know exactly whose kid it is, not by their face, but by how they take the lollipop. I could tell. I could see the whole thing. So it's so interesting. But so that's a mashal. B'li b'chayre Yisrael. that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Bonim atem, bonim atol Hashem Elokeichem, pirush, k'moy she'aben nimshach mimoyach ha'ov. The son comes to the father. Kach kiviyachol nishmas kol ish Yisrael nimshach mimachshavtei v'chachmas yisbar. If we're children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, means that we are of Him. Hu v'chachmas echa, k'moy shekasav harambam, shehu amadav, hu ayudei, v'davar zeh ein b'yichos hadav lavino haburiyah. So he says, but nobody can understand this clearly. You can't get a clear understanding of this. How can we understand the neshama clearly? And now he goes just one more sentence. That not every neshama is created equal. It's not like everybody's the same, because of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's breath, and every child is different. You have 5 children. 5 children are different, but they all have the breath of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says here, if you look on the side, the Haggah, which was also written by him, actually, I'm not sure if this was actually written by him. So you look at Rav Moshe Cordovero, much earlier time in Arizal, he says the same thing. So it comes out right according to the Arizal also. He's arguing his lumdus here. Beside his labshus or ein soif baruch hu al yedei tzimtzumim rabim bekelim de chabad da'atzilus. Achloi l'maylo be'atzilus. So they're in the set of spheros, which starts off with chachma bina das, and we have chachma bina das. It's in that area that we can connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and become like mamish him. So what I wanted to bring out is, and I don't know if I want to go any further with it at all, but I just want to bring out that there's a mefurish machlokes between the Tanya and the Nefesh Hachaim, which is clearly based on the Gra, whether our neshama is a piece of God or not. It's a clear machlokes, and I would go so far as to say that it's the machlokes. It is the machlokes.
What's that have to mean for us? I mean, what comes out of it?
You can come to what was the Gra worried about?
Even according to Nefesh Hachaim, who says he was worried about people doing Avodah Zarah? Maybe that was the shita.
Look, is there something within us that can never become bad? So if you say that you have a piece of God in you, so nothing can happen. We could get it dirty. We could, and we all like to talk about a pintili, that we like that. Huh? But there's kares. So again, I'm not. This is Gedolim. I can't take a side of this, but that's an afkamina. Can you always come back? That's an afkamina. How far can you go? Can you be kares even in this world? Can you become something which is no longer considered Jewish? Kiruv. Is there a chiyuv to bring a person back if he's been pushed away? So if you say that he has a piece of God, so you're redeeming himself, which is why the Talmidim of the Tanya are the kings of Kiruv. They're coming at it from a whole different place. They're not coming at it like, I'll do you a favor, or Avas Yisrael, I want to be Mazak you with all of Haba. I've got to pull God out of those woods. They're coming at it from a completely different place. Not necessarily a bad place. It's a very effective thing, but it's just philosophically coming at it from a completely different thing. And as I said, what's a Rebbe? So we see a Rebbe, and if you have a Rebbe, or if you know a big Gadol or a Talmud Chacham, so we see him as somebody who was kind of wisdom, somebody who chapped some nitzotzos, was able to chap some nitzotzos from the Or Hashem. They're seeing it as like the greatest manifestation, Mashiach, the Tzaddik Yesod Olam, the greatest manifestation of covenant in this world, and now he can't make a mistake because he's God. Not just dangerous, you might worship him. It was a whole different gisha. So he's got a white beard and he's got a white beard, but it's a whole different idea. So again, it's not. I think all the Hasidim were makabel, by the way, to a certain extent. The Balatanya, I actually do think. I don't think that, maybe not to the extreme, but I think they're all makabel the Balatanya, as they all bring it. All the Hasidic Svarim afterwards bring the Baal Tanya, and the Talmidei Agra we're not makabel this. But it's just as intelligent people to understand. It's not really a different Shita, Mashiach. It's Mashachistim. That's all superficial stuff. What it really comes down to is the Atzmius HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'll tell you a big nafkamina. Can you die? if God doesn't die, maybe the Guf dies or something, but God doesn't die. Can Mashiach die? So it's not just what's the difference in the Shabbat, it's the difference of what is Mashiach. And it's strategic, as I say, that Nefesh Hachaim leaves out the Mashiach issue, which would be a bit of a problem, Lalias Daiti, for the Nefesh Hachaim.
The story that you tell about the Rebbe's secretary, that his tvisa was at the Kollel comes
Right.
from the Rebbe. Is that a consequence of this? Is that an
Without question, that's the
nafkamina
nafkamina.
here?
That's what
Is that
what Rav Steinberg pushed away.
Yeah, but is that an accurate reflection of the Baal Tanya?
Yes, because he says in the next page, which you don't have, he says that Abaratzim in the generation, which might be another reason why Rav Steinberg pushed away, get their koach from the tzaddik. So it's like this, That's what he says. That you have the tzaddik. In other words, he's looking at a situation where the neshama of HaKadosh, the atzmius of HaKadosh Baruch Hu does come into every person, but the majorly comes into the tzaddik, and from the tzaddik it spreads out. That's the mechanism. Like he's the pipe, he's the big,
We're repeaters.
Yeah, we're the repeaters. So again, you have a nafkamina. Everybody, there's tons of nafkaminas. Once you understand this, you understand the whole machlokes of tzimtzum, which we need to talk about, and the whole machlokes. Everything comes from this idea: can God be in this world? Can God be in this world?
It's not a steer to the DNA thing. You can see by your children that they have some good DNA. They look like you, they act like you, they walk like whatever it is. So that can't be a problem to the Nefesh Hachaim.
Does it mean that you have biologically some of you in that son? Otherwise, it would never happen.
It's formation. It's not.
It's interesting. It's not essence. It's not essence. Okay, I leave it to be choker for next time.
The Gemara's mashal that the Nefesh Hachaim brings of the last blower. That's a kasha on the Baal Tanya. How does the Baal Tanya learn that?
Right. So he has to learn the glass blower, and the Nefesh Hachaim has to learn Mashiach. If you want to really, when you write your essay, have this.
I don't see any difference between Nitzotzos being